when we're talking about sensuality and sexuality specifically inside this group, one of the signs that you might see within yourself that can kind of tell you, maybe I should kind of take a look at this sensuality thing. Maybe there's something to learn here. Maybe there is something in this that could, profoundly change my life. And the first one I want to talk about, because it is so obvious. I feel like this is something I talk about with like every woman that I end up talking with. And that is the wanting to have sex with their partner. And I feel like this is such a it's such a common thing that we don't really know what's going on either, because since it's so common, we kind of just expect that once we become moms and once we've been married for a while and things like that, it's just something that happens. But let's talk about the science behind these things. And I wanted to start with that one because it's the most obvious. So when we're talking about sensuality is more of this inward experience. It is experimenting with pleasure. And when we talk about sexuality is more of an exchange. Sexuality is more of this energy that you're giving someone else. It's not this kind of receiving. Sensuality is more of a receiving pleasure. And if we talk about sensuality in the way that you share it with a partner, it would look more like if you're using a feather and you're kind of rubbing it on their skin and you're like, oh, how does that feel? That would be a sensuality experience that would be shared between two people. And that's kind of where you'll see tantric explorations kind of go. It's this experimenting with sensuality, and it's a shared experience of experimenting with that sensuality. And sexuality is when you're giving energy to another person. It's an exchange between you and another person, and they're giving you their energy and you're giving them your energy. So that's kind of the difference that you can see in sensuality and sexuality as well. So if you're not wanting to have sex with your partner, this could mean that you are a woman who is lacking pleasure in your life. And there was an exercise that I did, I think it was 2 years ago, and it was so profound to me that I've never forgotten it. So I was reading a book, and I can't remember what book. Oh, no. It was a book by Kara Alwell, and I can't remember the name of it. Can't remember the name of the book. But one of the suggestions in the book was to sit down and make 2 lists. One of the lists was going to be high vibe activities that you participate in every day, or things that make you feel good, things you enjoy doing, things you enjoy experiencing, etc. And the other one was low vibe activities that you take part in every day. And when I did my list, I realized that the low vibe activities was completely filled, meaning my entire day was taken up by doing things that I didn't really want to do, like cleaning the house, like doing all of that stuff. My entire day, minute for minute, was crammed full of things I didn't really want to do. Nothing on that list made me feel good. So sensuality is that exploring of things that make you feel pleasure. So if you're not experiencing anything during the day to fill your cup or create an environment where you can experience pleasure, you have nothing to even give your partner at the end of the night. And then that's where you start feeling resentment and things like that. So it might not even be anything about your partner. And maybe I'll save this for another day. I have a tendency to ramble on, but me and my husband talk about it all the time, that there are things that happen and either one of us will become very unhappy in our life, but it's not necessarily our partner. It's not necessarily our marriage. It's something that's missing in our own individual life. And so then we have nothing to share with the other partner anymore. So we went through a really like kind of dark night of the soul within our marriage, and realizing that it wasn't our marriage and it wasn't the other person or anything like that. It was, we weren't feeding ourselves individually. So that's something really interesting to look at, because I feel like most women, it's very rare, unless we are like ovulating or something, that we have that desire to initiate or even take part in having sex with our partner. So let's look at the next thing. So the first one, Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Sexy Sunrise Show. My name is Bianca Adelia, and I've been a boudoir photographer for almost 8 years. And I use this show as a daily reminder to stop patterns that don't support self-love. If you'd like to be part of the experience of this show, feel free to join at www.thegoddessboudoir.online.